Hello, it's Josh. Happy to see you all. I'm gonna wait a few minutes, let you all hop in here with me. Gonna check in with you. See, we're gonna get started soon. Checking in now. Let me know if you can hear me. Yep, there I am.
It's Josh.
I hear ya. Testing 1 2 1 2 3 4. There I am. Hello. See if anybody's here with me yet. If you can see me, type in. Oh, see some people showing up now. Let's see. See who's showing up. Now, I'm not going to be able to hear you, I don't think, on that. But I'm going to see who's with me. Raise your hand if you're with me. Hello? No one? Bueller? I'm checking out some new software to see if it'll work. So, would somebody comment? Let me know if you can hear me or not as we wait for some other folks to show up with us. Somebody comment. Say hello. Glad you're with us. No? Anybody? Hey, if you're just joining us, trying to get this nice little Facebook Live set up, trying to see if it'll work. Anybody? Jesse, can you hear me? Can you hear me in there? Throw a what up, a like sign, something if you can hear me. Please. Nothing. Ah, look at that. Perfect. I see some folks. Okay. Sorry it took so long to get started. So what's going to happen is in about 3 minutes at 8:35, I'm going to jump in here and talk to you a little while about small groups. Basically, the idea here is that I already preach for 50 minutes every Sunday. So if I were to also talk about all the small groups like that, and we would be at church for a really long time. So 8:35, countdown, 3 more minutes. Share, like, hey, Facebook folks, we're about to get started on here, and we're gonna talk for about 20 or 30 minutes. Thanks, Jesse. Hey, Barb, glad you're here. Caitlin, yay, welcome. Really, really happy that you're here. So about 2 or 3 minutes, we'll get started. I'm gonna see if I can make some notes on this thing. Okay, welcome to the Facebook page. About to get started. Popcorn's ready. Good. How many beer lines are with me? Is it just you, Carrie, or is Jeff there with you? And are y'all holding hands? If so, is it kind of like a date? It'd be sweet if so. Okay, we're gonna start in 2 minutes. 2 minutes. There we go. Got it. Oh, Jeff. That's so sweet. Okay. Here you go. Class will start at 8:35. I'm going to go make sure there's nobody walking around the church. Be right back. Okay, here I am. Happy to see you. It's going to be lots of fun. This will be a first time, so bear with us. One of the things we're trying to figure out is if there is an additional avenue of communication. It looks like right now we have 17 folks with us. Emmy! Hey, Emmy! It's good to see you. So, it looks like there's about 17 folks with us right now. We're trying to figure out if there's other ways to communicate because apparently I talk too long on Sundays already. So here's kind of what we're going to discuss tonight. And then we're going to talk about small groups, purpose of them, how you should be involved, all that kind of stuff. Which is nice because I just came back from my small group. Small group was, Francesca, I'm the one talking, not Emmy. Let's focus up here, okay, up here. So just left my small group. It was at our house tonight. 5 couples and their kiddos running around. We got to celebrate one of our couples in our group, the celebration of them being with child, their first kids coming, and everybody's like, "Yay, we're so excited for you!" And I expressed my condolences. Hey, Ray, glad you're with us. And but I was just thinking about it and thinking, boy, it's just so neat to kind of take a deep breath and hang out with a lot of really good people that I love and care for and am known by. And to be honest with you, outside of maybe one of the couples didn't even know that well up in our families until we started getting out of rows and into circles and discussing and meeting together. And boy, we really want that for everyone. Now, one of the dilemmas with small groups is you're going, well, I'm not sure exactly how they work. It's going to feel a little bit uncomfortable. And one of the things you've heard me talk about a lot over the last several weeks is saying, hey, we really could use some more small group leaders. And you'd go, well, he must be talking to someone else, because he can't be talking about me because I would not classify myself as a leader. And I would go, yes, you are. And let me explain to you why. And so that's what we're going to talk about. One of the things we're going to try to roll out this fall, meaning training right now, starting to get groups together in August and really roll them out to our whole congregation, our whole church family in September, is this idea of distributed leadership, meaning that not one person feels the burden for the group, that it's distributed, kind of the responsibilities are distributed, the support's distributed, the care is distributed, this idea that it is not a single individual, even a couple of individuals that lead the group, but a kind of a whole group of folks that collectively do it together. And so that's kind of the idea that we're going to actually create some teams. And they'll explain to you how we're going to do that. It's going to take me a few minutes because I'm going to give you kind of the backstory of it all. So I'm 37 years old. If we haven't met, I'm Josh, and kind of been at Christian Life Center now for 14 months exactly today. Started my job 14 months ago today. Really, really love every minute of it. This is a terminal job for me. Not that I mean the kind of job that kills you, but I don't want a different job. I hope to do this the rest of my life. And so started 14 months ago. And I've been a pastor now for 16 years. And kind of, I don't know if it's my gifting, my calling, or just the things that I like, but just by nature, what I do is I start things. And so as a 21-year-old kid, I started a youth ministry at a really great little Baptist church in Northwest Georgia. And so I kind of jumped in and started all sorts of initiatives. And they were a lot of fun. We did things like drive-in movies where we sewed sheets together and pulled up a big movie theater, projected it. Same thing we kind of are doing now, but a little bit more high-tech and quality these days. And had all sorts of fun events like lock-ins, which I don't suggest ever doing again, and all sorts of kind of unique and neat things that our student ministry did. And every single month we were trying new things. And the reason we were trying new things is because, like I said, I like to start things. But something really unique happened every time I would start a new initiative. The last initiative that I released to the wolves or whatever that I started would dissipate as the new one got started. So this idea that I'd get something rolling and get going, and so that would happen, but once that happened, everything else I'd started before would just kind of fall apart. And I didn't quite understand what to do with that. So I was going, okay, I'm not sure exactly how to be a pastor because I really can't keep things in order. And so the only thing I didn't know to do is to shake the snow globe up and do something new. And every time I'd do something new, there'd be new excitement. But everything else I'd done in the past, there'd be disappointment. So what I thought was, and I think this is rightfully so, I thought, you know what we need? It shouldn't be me just doing all these initiatives. We should be creating teams to do initiatives. Because I was thinking, I play basketball. I love basketball, but basketball is not an individual sport. It's a team sport. So let's get a team of people now to start new initiatives. And so we'd start that. And in fact, I was a youth pastor for several years and became a college pastor. And after that, felt like God had told us to plant a church. And so thought, well, I can't plant a church by myself, so let's start a team. And so that's planted a church. And so as a 27-year-old kid, put together a team, and we started a church for people who don't do church, which is kind of a weird thing, because it's like starting a swimming pool for people who don't swim. And this little team of folks started meeting together in our living room, kind of like a small group, and it grew from a dozen people to a couple hundred people, and it was a lot of fun. And I kept starting new initiatives, and they would keep going because we had a team to sustain them. But something really interesting happened. That team started getting really frustrated with each other, and really frustrated with me. And things like this would happen. I would go, hey, I have an idea. Let's start this second service. We have all these people coming to the first service. Let's just double up on services. And so I would stand up on stage and go, there's too many of you in one service. So next week, show up at 2 services. So there's now a 9 and a 10:30. Hooray, hooray. The church would celebrate. Wow, our church is growing. Woo, yeah, yeah. And then on Tuesday, we would have a staff meeting, and our staff would tell me how frustrating it was that I would just make that announcement and go, don't you know what this is going to do to our volunteers? We can't even watch enough children in one service and take care of the children's ministry volunteers in one service. How do you expect us to do it too? Just because you want to start something, maybe you should start figuring these things out ahead of time, right? And so quickly I learned that I was the leader of a team, and I was creating a lot of dysfunction on a team, because people would go, why do we need to start new things? Shouldn't we just pray more and fast more? And shouldn't we just care for the people who are already there? If we keep bringing new people in, how are we going to care for the people that already showed up? And how are we going to make these people who just raised their hand and said they're Christians, how are we going to help them actually become like Jesus if we're going to keep doing new things and keep being distracted by shiny things? So this really great movement, lots of people, lots of excitement. On the outside, on the inside, actually had a lot of turmoil and stress and pain and all that stuff. And going, okay, I know that there's a way to start things, and I know there's a way to sustain things, but is there a way to start and sustain things that actually are enjoyable and people still love each other and care for each other, and without all the stress and anxiety and tension that comes with kind of a team? And so if you're just joining us, we haven't even started talking about small groups. I'm just kind of walking through the journey of how we've come to where we've come. And so I started thinking, okay, we know it can't be an individual, and we know it's got to be done by team, but how do we create a team that actually can do this together and get along? And about that time, I was given a book by a guy named Alan Hirsch. I'll write his name up on the boards, just in case you want to look it up. A guy named Alan Hirsch. And the book that he wrote, he's written several since then, it was called The Forgotten Ways. And in that book, he discussed the movement of the church. He basically said, it's right over my head. Alan Hirsch, Forgotten Ways. Okay. So in that book, he basically said, hey, the church has always been growing and moving and sustained. So it started and sustained. And the way by which it was started and then sustained was out of a result of God giving particular gifts to folks within the church. And he pointed specifically to Ephesians chapter 4. So he talked about, see on this side, okay. Ephesians chapter 4. And he said in this passage that God said a couple things. He said that God created a unique gifting within the church. He said he created apostles, prophets, evangelists, shepherds, and teachers. So he basically said, hey, within the church construct, he created apostles, prophets, evangelists, shepherds, and teachers. And then he said, to equip the saints for the work of ministry. So this isn't Alan Hirsch's idea. He just happened to point it out and talking about, hey, the way by which the church has been sustained over a long period of time, over the last 2,000 years, is because God gave unique individual gifts to the church and the individuals in the church. And he pointed out the 5 gifts that he gave them were apostles, prophets, evangelists, shepherds, and teachers. So in other words, there are 5 different types of people that exist in the church, and God gave us those on purpose. And in this book, and if you want to read a really good book by Alan Hirsch, he just came out with kind of an upgrade to The Forgotten Ways. It's about 15 years old now, and it's the book 5Q. You can look it up on Amazon, lots of stuff, and really it talks about these 5 different qualities: the apostles, the prophets, evangelists, shepherds, and teachers. And so Alan then goes on to explain those different roles. And he basically says, an apostle is basically like an entrepreneur. This guy, he starts things. Doesn't usually finish them because he gets distracted by a bunch of shiny stuff. Know anybody like that? What? Whoa! I'm just joking. Here I am. I'm still here, right? Right? So apostles, they start things, but they're not good for doing much else. I mean, they're good for other things, but what they do is they're an entrepreneur. They have a dream, they start things, and they get them going, and then that's just what they do. They can't help but push the trailblaze forward, can't help but chase after things, and so that actually is a gifting within the church. And then he talked about a whole other group, and these are what he called the prophets. Now, the prophets, they don't necessarily start things. What they do is, give me a second, let me get to my notes, make sure that we're on the same page here. There I am. So there you go. So the apostles, they don't necessarily start, prophets, they're not starting things. You know what they care about? They care about pleasing God. Remember I told you early on when I would talk about, hey, I got this great new initiative, let's start it, and someone would raise their hand and go, shouldn't we just be praying and fasting and doing the same thing over and over again that we've always done, which is try to please God? And I'm going, yeah, we should, but how do we tell new people about it? Let's go get the new people. And they're going, well, shouldn't we just continue to love God and worship Him? And so there actually is this gift, this personality that goes, we just really want everything we do to please God. And so Alan Hirsch describes it as the prophet. And then he talks about the evangelist. He says, the evangelist isn't just someone who stands up like a Pied Piper who just walks around with a bullhorn telling people about Jesus. The evangelist is kind of the charismatic personality who always includes new people. They just think this cannot be news just for me, and so they are always gathering new people. So this evangelist is kind of like the recruiter or the gatherer, right? He's always gathering new people. That's what that word says. Always going after people and inviting them into the journey. And then he describes shepherds. And shepherds just care deeply for people. So when I would say to our church, hey, you're growing so fast, hooray, we can't have one service anymore. So instead of showing up next week at 10 o'clock, some of you show up at 9, some of you show up at 10:30. The shepherd in the next meeting would raise their hand and go, hey, did you ever consider what that would do to our volunteers? Did you realize that everybody that set up the church would have to come in an hour early? We're a portable church. Did you realize we need twice the amount of children's workers? And you know a lot of the children's workers haven't been to a church service in 3 months. Right? The shepherd would be so considerate of how to care for people. They're going, the more people you add to the mix, the less likely it is to actually be able to care for all of them. Right? And so the shepherd is so focused on caring. And then the teacher, Hirsch, described as the one who just loved to take the Bible and teach people. So they weren't concerned about starting a new movement or caring for people. They just loved to make the Bible come to life. So teachers, it's kind of crazy, they teach. They help people discover ideas in the scriptures and then implement them. That is their chief end. Not growing churches, not chasing after things. That is their goal. Apostle, they start things. Prophets, they just want to please God. Evangelists, they just want to gather and recruit and involve more people. Shepherds just want to care for people. And teachers actually want to teach. Now, here's why small groups in the past don't work sometimes. Let's say we have someone who goes, you know what, I had this great idea for a small group. We should focus just on how to learn all the things in the Bible about how to manage your money. So someone raised their hand and go, hey, I'd like to start a small group. And all I want to focus on is how God tells people to manage their money, right? That's a teacher. And this teacher gift goes, I just want to teach. So he shows up and he hopes people show up to class. And one week a few people show up, but the teacher's so focused on the material, he's not really connecting with them or recruiting them. And he's not really that interested in helping get the whole thing, a lot of momentum, not really interested in that. He just wants to teach. A few weeks in, the teacher gets exhausted because less people show up. They feel less involved. Nobody's organized snacks. No one got the house ready. All these different things. It's not because they're a bad teacher. It's because that's just one of the ingredients necessary to start and sustain a really neat group, because the Bible says that God gave us all these things, very specifically apostles, prophets, evangelists, shepherds, and teachers to equip the saints for the work of ministry. Now, about the same time that I started working on all this stuff, I also started grad school. So you got all this Ephesians 4 ministry started, and I started grad school. I did my master's degree is in just theology, and then most recently I've been studying leadership. So really passionate about leaders. More and better leaders lead to more and better disciples. More and better disciples lead to more and better churches. More and better churches lead to more and better leaders. More and better disciples you follow, right? So I started researching this and started looking at how do you help people develop as leaders or develop as people? How do you convince people they should get in the middle of all this work. And so as I started researching all that, I came across this book by a guy named Everett Rogers. And so Everett Rogers, pretty neat guy, I think, wrote a book in 1962. Sorry, let me get that back up. He wrote a book in 1962 called The Diffusions. Let's see this again. Diffusions of Innovation. Not a very good name for a book, but the kind of the idea of the book was he was looking at, even in the 60s, about technology. And he was researching and trying to discover why new technology was either adopted or not adopted. So he did lots of research and a lot of studying. And as he researched, he discovered this bell curve, okay? Just that's like a statistical way by which data is presented. And in this bell curve, he basically defined, believe it or not, 5 types of people. And here's the 5 types of people he defined. He said, in different segments, there are different groups of people. And in each of those groups, say, start that over. So different segments in each group of people. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There we go. So he described them. He said there's 5 types of people and how they respond to change and to adopt a technology. And he says, here's the first group. And he called these guys innovators. And these are the folks who start things, come up with new ideas, and they propel those forward, right? So these are innovators. These are the ones who create the new roads, create the new mechanisms, and they're the ones who have this great, great vision of the way that things should or could be. And he said, but not many people are that way. That's just a very small group of people. Then he said there's another group of people, and he described them in this second area here, and he called them early adopters. And he basically said, these guys don't innovate, but they quickly gravitate to an idea and go, how do we include other people into this idea? And then he described another group, and he called them the early majority. And he's like, these guys aren't the passionate ones about starting new technology or recruiting people in it. But when they see that the technology or whatever it is worthwhile to offer, they begin to wonder how to teach and help other people discover that technology. Then there's another group, they're called the late majority. And what's interesting about the late majority is they go, look, we just want to be connected to other people, care for other people, be involved with other people. So if this is where people are and this is what they're doing, then we want to use that medium to do that. And then he called this last group the laggards. And the laggards didn't really see the need for any new technologies. They're going, what we have already works. Why would we spend any more time or energy doing something new when what we're already doing we haven't mastered and done well enough, long enough yet, right? And so that's kind of one of the ideas of this early adoption, these kind of things, of the futures of innovation, and as Gerald says, the technology adoption curve. How is technology adopted? Now, as I was reading through this and thinking about this in terms of leadership and influence, and now thinking in light of Ephesians chapter 4, what's really ironic, and actually not ironic as you think about it, because all truth belongs to God, what you see here is innovators are just apostles. Early adopters, they're the ones that get so excited about the thing. How do we include other people in it? They're just evangelists, right? Idea of an evangelist, someone who can't help but share this news. The early majority here is going, how do we take this technology and make it applicable to people? They're just teachers. And then when you think about the late majority, they're just going, we just want to, if this is where people are, we just want to be with those people and connect with those people, right? They're just shepherds. When you look at the laggards, this isn't a mean term. They're just going, we haven't mastered old technology. Why should we add new? These are the prophets saying that go, really, we need video church? We can't even do normal church well. You mean we need to add some new flair? We're not even praying or fasting, or we don't even know the books of the Bible, and we're not even that interested in pleasing God. Why would we go after some other distraction? And so as they look at the way that people are wired and gifted, and we looked at how God does that, then it just makes sense that there might be something to this, that there is actually a way by which all these things are connected. And so what I think, and what we're going to work on and think about over the next few months as we talk about small groups, is actually, you don't need just apostles to start things. You don't just need prophets to pray about things. And you don't just need evangelists to connect new people. And you don't just need shepherds to make sure they're cared for. And you don't need just teachers to make sure that people know the Bible. You actually need all 5 categories, and no group can exist well unless all 5 categories are connected and involved. And so kind of the belief system is the way by which small groups happen is we help ourselves identify to how to create a group that has all these categories represented. Now, as I told you, I started school, did theology, and now I'm at the tail end right now of finishing up my graduate work. I'm getting a doctorate in transformational leadership. And right now, as we speak, I'm in the process of writing a dissertation. I'm not trying to press you. Like I said, I'm not looking for a paid grade, upgrade, or looking for a new job. I'm getting a terminal degree for a terminal job. This is all I'm really interested in doing the rest of my life with you guys right here in Lincoln University. And so that's it for me. But as I'm writing this, the dissertation I'm writing is actually called More Than a Spark. It's kind of play on this an old song I used to sing at camp. It's an old church song that says, "It only takes a spark to get a fire going, and then soon all those around will warm up and it's glowing." That's how it is. It's God's love. Once you've experienced it, you spread His love to everyone you want to pass it on. Those are the lyrics, and to be honest with you, what I'm discovering as I have tried to make fires in my life, it doesn't take just a spark to make a fire. It takes a lot more. And so, kind of as I've been thinking about this APEST model, the Apostle, Prophet, Evangelist, Shepherd, Teacher, and this technology curve, what I've also started kind of considering is how to start and sustain a movement based on how you start and sustain a fire. So if you think about a fire, it requires a couple things. I promise you this is going to make some sense, or at least I hope it does. A fire requires three things to actually happen. First, you need oxygen. Second, you need heat. And third, you need fuel. Those are the three things that are required every single time to start a fire. You have to have oxygen, you have to have heat, and you have to have fuel. Now, so if you're going to start a fire, the first thing you need is oxygen. So, and kind of this premise, thinking about small groups, how do we start and sustain them? I'm working on my dissertation, really I'm going, how do we start and sustain movements? And I actually went to my school and said, hey, is there any way that I actually can just focus right now specifically? In the long term, I want to figure out how we start church plants, denominations, nonprofits, businesses, all that kind of stuff. But in the beginning, can I just take these ideas of how do you start and sustain a movement and look exclusively, nothing else over the next 6 months, on how to start and sustain small groups? And so as we think about that, we think, we need the oxygen right here in terms of starting a fire just represents the right kind of environment. Not go. We got a lot of folks in our church right now that should be connected. We have the right environment. We have hundreds of new people showing up. We got 600 to 700 adults here every week. And we're going, they should be connected. They long to be connected. We all long to be connected. So we got the right environment. So going, yep, right environment. And we're seeing in a really evidentiary way that God is at work here. And so we're going, yep, God's in this. The Holy Spirit is in it. So we know it's the right environment. So now we go, well, we needed some heat and some fuel. And so as I describe these things, in my mind, the heat is just what we describe as a matchstick. You know what a matchstick is? It's an apostle. They can't keep things going, but they can light a spark, right? They are going to get distracted. They're not going to stay focused. Remember, I am kind of in that category. I like the new shiny thing. An apostle is just a spark. But we know when you build a fire, you don't just need a spark. The next thing in a fire, if you've ever watched Man vs. Wild, Bear Grylls, that's the same. Bear Grylls. You know what he gets next after the matchstick? Here's what it's called. He needs some tinder, right? Tender love and care. He needs some tinder. That's something that sparks really fast. And we're going, that's the early adopter or the evangelist, you know? They can't help but connect that heat with everything around it. That's just who they are. But you don't just need tinder. You actually need someone that goes, okay, how do we take this and distribute it to the rest of the masses? How do we take this and make it practical, right? That's not just tinder, but you need kindling, which I would describe as the teacher. But even kindling, eventually it's going to burn out. So how do you actually help that fire get distributed and continue to warm everything around it? And I'd go, you need some soft wood like pine. Burns a little hotter than the hardwood, but it burns a little longer than kindling. And we go, yep, that's the shepherd. But you really wants to say long term, chase after things and stay focused. You need hardwood. That's the prophet. So as we start thinking about these different categories, we basically say, you know what you need? One, you need an initiator. One, to get things going. You know what the initiator is? That's the heat, the matchstick, the apostle, right? But you don't just need an initiator. You actually need a recruiter. That's the tender or the evangelist, the early adopter. But you don't just need a recruiter. You actually need a developer, someone who can actually develop this stuff, right? And so, the developer, we go, that's the teacher, the kindling. But you can't just develop, you also have to sustain. Like, how do we sustain this? How do we make sure everybody's cared for? You go, you need a sustainer. That's the softwood, or the shepherd. Right, that's number 4. But really, all this is for naught and not worth anything if there's not a way to actually stay focused, right? And so you don't just need those things, you need a focuser. And we go, that's the person who says, shouldn't we be praying more? Shouldn't we actually go and see what God says about this? That's the prophet. So, what we believe, I wholeheartedly believe this, that every single one of you are uniquely wired to participate in the kingdom and in groups. And you offer something in a group that would be missing if you're not in it. I don't know if you're an apostle, I don't know if you're a prophet, I don't know if you're an evangelist, I don't know if you're a shepherd, I don't know if you're a teacher, but I guarantee you have multiple of those gifts in you. And we need to know about them so that we can help you actually get in the middle of doing this. So you can actually get in the middle of leading and participating in groups. And we're going, hey, would you please not withhold your gifts to the rest of us? So what we're looking for is we're looking for you to sign up to be a part of a group. And we're asking you to be a part of a group. We're actually asking you to use your gifts in your way to do that. And so we initially started talking to small group leaders and going, hey, would you begin to identify what your gifts are? And so we sent them to this place. We think you should go now, and I'll list it later in the bottom of this. 5foldsurvey.com. We asked them, would you go figure out what your personal gifts are in small groups? And then we said, hey, if this is your personal gift in small group, would you let us know that? And would you start to put people around you so that we could identify this? And what we're hearing is going, well, if I'm an apostle, I'm not sure exactly where to find a shepherd. If I'm a teacher, I'm not sure where to find the people that can do hospitality and are really focused on starting the group or doing those things. We're going, hey, we want you to leverage your circle of influence. And Pastor Gary's been talking about ways by which you can do that. But we're going, what would be really nice for us is if we could actually have an inventory of all the folks in our congregation who would be interested in participating in a small group and interested in allowing us to know what your gifts are so we can figure that out. So, would you fill this out? Would you go here right now? You can leave this if you want to, and just go right here and figure out what your giftings are. It's 80 questions, won't take you too long, walks you right through it. And then afterwards, would you email, and I'll just tell you right now, would you just email clc125@gmail.com with your results. Email clc125 with your results. So that we can start putting folks together and going, hey, let's figure out how to do this. Now, if you're ready to jump in and want to be in our next training, hear more about when training are on this and other things, would you let us know? You can either email here or we got this whole comment section. You can leave it right in. Now, you might not be watching this live. There's a couple dozen with you right now, and you can jump in right now, put your name on there and go, hey, I'd like to get more information on small groups. I'm ready to jump in. So if you're not watching this live, you can just put that on there the next day or 2, 3 as you see it, and then let us know, or you can email clc125@gmail.com. So let me walk you through the rest of the plan, okay? So, through the month of July, rest of July, we're going to have training. Well, I told you, I'm kind of trying to figure this out in terms of my doctoral work right now. Pastor Gary, our discipleship pastor, this is what he's done with his life. He's invested his entire life in spiritual development and going, how can people be discipled? And so we believe groups is one of the best ways to do that. And so Pastor Jeff, Pastor Gary, and myself will be offering some training on this. And so the rest of July, we'll be offering training. In August, we will help form your groups with the rest of that category of APEST, Apostle, Prophet, Evangelist, Shepherd, Teacher. And we asked you guys to get together and start talking about the way that your group could and should look. So in August, we'll form the teams. And then September, the week after Labor Day, we'll invite our entire church to sign up and be a part of a group. And then we ask you, now you got some evangelists in your group, you have some shepherds in your group, and we'll ask you to help them connect with these folks and invite them into the group. And we're going to go, hey, would you take 6 to 8 weeks just to test this out and see if the right kind of dynamics in your group would help start staying there? We're not asking you to sign up for a lifetime. We're just asking you to sign up for, a couple months. And then at the end of a couple months, evaluate whether or not you want to continue in that group. That would be awesome. Or if you're ready to lead a different group or recruit some more people to lead or whatever that looks like, we're just going, hey, would you try this with us? Because here's the reality. We have 600-700 adults right now and their families that need to be connected. And that's only going to happen if all of us decide to distribute the responsibility and invite people into our lives, into our homes, into our families, into our, our world. And so would you please, please, please consider that. Now, I've been talking now for 31 minutes. I am going to conclude my talking, but I'm not going to go away yet. So if you're ready to go, you can. If not, feel free, if you'd like, to ask any questions you have in the comment section just over the next couple minutes. And if there's questions coming, I'd be happy to answer them. If there's not any questions, we'll sign off and enjoy the rest of our day and get ready for elementary school VBS tomorrow. Okay, any questions? Okay, now I'm really confused because there's 22 of you staring at me right now and nobody's asking any questions. What? We can do this all day. We can do it all day. Do it all day. I can do it all day. You know what I'm talking about? I can do this all day. Oh, there's a question. The place that you can find the website is fivefoldsurvey.com. And I want to make sure that's right. Let me make sure by checking it real quick. Yep. Fivefoldsurvey.com. It'll pop up, I hope. Perfect. Yep, I think it's Fivefold Survey. By teams, here's what I mean, Carrie. Yep, there it is. It's Fivefold Survey. You can hit Get Started, 80 questions. You can answer them with rarely, sometimes, or often. What I mean by teams is what we hope happens. It's a really good question. Thanks for asking it. I didn't really do very good there. What I mean by teams is, oh goodness, I should have looked that up. So, I'll leave it up. So, what we think is there is no way possible that one person should or could sustain a group on their own. So as a result of that, we're going, uh-oh. That's got some kind of notification. Okay, we're good now. We're good, don't worry. So, what we're thinking is, there's no way that one person could sustain this on their own, and we're going, and we miss out on the opportunity to let other people in on participating. So, we're actually asking people who are willing to lead a group to consider other people. So, if we have this idea of apostle, prophet, evangelist, shepherd, teacher, you may say, wow, I'm actually a shepherd and an evangelist. We should start looking for, hey, and my husband happens to be, kind of an apostle type, whatever it is we're going. Could you start looking for other people that fit these other categories? So you go, we got to find someone who really loves God, really likes to talk about praying, really wants to figure out how to pray, all those kind of things. And someone who goes, we really need to find someone who really is concerned with how we teach the Bible, and then invite them to be a part of a small group that then invites other people in. So we're going, in a perfect world, you would identify your gifts. You would then leverage your circle of influence to invite new people into the team to start the group. Or in a different world, we're going, if you are looking for an A, because you got all the other categories, we can help find that. So we're going to look and go, we're going to have this big inventory. We're going to try to make sure every team has these folks represented. No, the thing is that doesn't mean we need 5 different couples to start a team. For example, I would say for me, when I take this fivefold survey, the first thing for me is apostolic. Like, I love to start things. But there is in me some teaching and evangelistic gifts. There's not much prophet. There's not much shepherd. So I would be able. What I would look for is folks that fall in this category. People who love to pray. People who love to host and care for people. And then I would invite them in to be a part of the team to do that. So that would be the perfect way. Hey, Nancy. Let me see, Becky. You asked a question. Yep. The link will be on. It'll be on the app, and it will be on CLC's website, so you can get it there too. Also, it'll be at the bottom of this this little notes when I get to it. Okay. In fact, maybe I can do that now. I think that just worked. There he goes. Okay. Any other questions? Let's see if I missed any. I'm proud of you guys for hanging in here. You already listened to me talk at you for like an hour this morning, 50 minutes actually, and now we're on 40 minutes here. Any other questions? I can stay here all day. See how sweaty I am? Because we're good stewards of our church, and we don't want to run the air conditioning just for one of the pastors. Any other questions? And if you got a question, you're going, hey, I don't really want to ask it now. One thing I put on here. You're Josh Robert, CLC at gmail.com. You're welcome to email me personally. I'd be happy to chat with you. Now, I'm actually pretty terrible at email, but I'll try really hard. Just between us, I'd much rather you show up here at the church and us look each other in the face and giggle and talk about life and twirl our hair. Any other question, boys and girls? We missed you too, Sandy. Get back here. Get back from New Mexico. Any other questions? Okay, if you know anyone that needs to know what's going on here, or someone you would say, hey, you would be really, really good at being in a small group with me. Would you consider this, watch this? You feel free to share this link, and maybe a really good way. One other thing I'd say, and this will be the last thing, unless any other questions pop up, is one of the neat things that we get to do. So, one of the ideas of what the gospel looks like in our lives is, in every participation, at some point we'll get to talk about this more in depth, and every time we interact with someone, we're always doing one or two things. We're either uncovering value or covering it up. Now, John Maxwell says the purpose of a leader is to add value to someone's life. No, the reality is I personally don't think we can add value because I can't actually make you more valuable because your value has nothing to do with my opinion of you. It has everything to do with what Christ did for you. Your value is distinctly connected to what someone's willing to pay for you. The God of the universe is willing to pay his life for you, so that's your value. You just might not know that. So because of that, in every interaction I have, either I'm helping to uncover the belief that that's your value, or I'm covering it up. And so one of the neat things here is you consider being a part of a small group or participating in a small group, you can actually go to a friend and go, you know what? I've never seen someone who cares deeper for people. I see that shepherding gift in you. Would you consider being a part of a group with us and helping us figure out that part for our group? Or you could go, there's no one I know that cares more about prayer and the disciplines of pleasing God. And if that's, you could go to them and go, would you consider being a part of a group? Wow, you're so good at starting things. And boy, that's not me. Would you consider being a part of a group? And now all of a sudden, you get to uncover their value and invite them into this. And honestly, you never know what just that one little small invitation will do to maybe change someone's life, their trajectory, the way by which they participate in the kingdom. Yes, Irene, hopefully in the very near future, we will get that on CLC's website. So this video will be there. Hopefully, if I can figure out a way to do that, or at least on YouTube or something, we'll make a link. Anything else? Okay, 21 of you are still staying with us. I'm proud of you. Okay, I think that's going to conclude this evening's talk. Now, I'm not sure when. Either this Wednesday at 7 or 6:30 p.m., the time we usually have Cal, we'll be doing another Facebook Live video because I got lots, and maybe our next Sunday, but I think it might be this Wednesday. I got lots and lots and lots of news to share with you about our partnership with with Lincoln University about care packages we get to take in each room and pray for each room, about a whole day's event on August 11th, how you can participate. There'll be a sign up for all that. But that's not for tonight. That'll probably be on Wednesday or on Sunday. Yes, Mary, please do the survey and then have Eric do it as well. Okay? This was fun. I think it was anyway. But I did all the talking and y'all did all the listening, which seems to be how it works a lot. I'm sorry about that. Okay. I do love you guys. Really excited about what the fall looks like. It's going to be lots and lots of fun. Oh, that's fun. That's fun. I got a message from Jeff Beerline that said that I should send him a date for the small group live draft. Apparently he thinks we should have all these different things come into, all these different roles into the church, and then we draft people. That would be a lot of fun. We could add a small groups combine to it. Okay. I'm signing off. Love you guys. Josh Roberts at clc.com if you need me for anything, or a fivefold survey, or honestly, if it's a little easier for you. Here's, I'm a little nervous about this on the World Wide Web, but if it's easier for you to text, here's my mobile number, 484-757-9119. So you got it up there, 484-757-9119. Good job, Eric, for using your wife's account. Really, really proud of you. Okay, I love you guys. I'll see you later.